Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. As you know, my name is Ingram Jones, and today, or this evening, I have a special guest. As I said on my boxing tour, that I would interview as many people as possible that were involved in or around the sport of boxing. I've got in this special guest, Stuart Howe. I've been wanting to connect with Stuart for a while. And I guess now is as good a time as ever. So I won't bore you with my voice. Let's find a little bit more about who Stuart Howe is. Stuart, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm blessed. Blessed, to be honest.
Superb. I was going to say, I apologise. It's been quite long. I've been a busy man, and as you can tell from Sunday, was on London Live TV with the Haringey Cup.
Yeah.
And since then, social media has probably quadrupled. And the funny thing is, talk about timing being perfect. As you've probably seen from my tweets, I was working full-time, kind of getting the mental skills coaching around my work. But now I've gone part-time last week, funny enough, invited onto London Live TV. So I've had time, and all of a sudden, as I say, social media's gone absolutely mad because everyone wants to know more about the mental side of sports.
Oh, fantastic. There's lots of things I'd love to talk to you about, but before I get into asking you questions, tell people a little bit more into who Stuart Howe is before we delve any deeper.
Of course, yeah. Basically, I'm 31 years old, so I say young, but in my prime, shall we say.
You're in your prime years, son. You're in your prime years. Go get him.
I used to do a lot of sport, so... and what happened was I was born with club feet, so doctors told me I'd never be able to play football, forget it. And as a kid, wanting to play football, it sounds like another Curtis Woodhouse, doesn't it? But playing football, I got to the highest amateur league, which is obviously not massive, but for someone that couldn't play football, to actually start talking to semi-pro clubs was massive for me. But like I said, with club feet, one bad injury, you're never going to walk again. And basically, after a few knee injuries, I had to retire at the young age of about 23. Came back for one last game for a charity match at 25. And I wish I never did because I had a massive cartilage problem. So basically, I went into football coaching and become the youngest ever manager at an FA Youth Cup level. And funny enough, it's been broken since, which I'm very, very happy about, because what happens is when you break something, it's fantastic having a record. But the fact that it's been broken and we follow each other on Twitter is even better. So he was saying, "Oh, hang on, you've got a record." And he's like, "I think I've broken it." I was like, "Oh, fantastic news." And then I found boxing thanks to Chris Billam-Smith. Not last year, the 2013 ABA finalist. He came up to me. I took Nlp, and he said, "Do you fancy, coaching me?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" And since then, bearing in mind that was just over 2.5 years ago, so he was my first client. And then what happened was I've gone from no clients at all to helping a couple of Rio hopefuls, hopefully. On top of that, I've been involved in 2 English title fights in pro boxing. Got 2 more again this year. Worked with Ross Birkinshaw, the Commonwealth champion, European WBO European champion. And hopefully we'll... I'm talking about other clients here as well, but hopefully British titles and world titles next year. So it's all working well. And I'm in pro football as well. So it's working really well. And funny enough, I work in skeleton as well. So different sports.
Wow. So multitude of sports. I know NLP is very powerful and very good if used with the right guidance.
Correct.
For those people that don't know what NLP is, if I'm correct, it's Neuro-linguistic programming. Am I correct?
You've got it. I was trying to edge you on, going, "Go on, you can get this, Ingram. You can get this." It's Neuro-linguistic program, and what that basically means is it's a flash word, really, for brain language behaviour patterns. Basically, it's just a study of success. So successful people have left a trail, and if we model excellence, we will improve a lot more than if we don't. This word is thrown around a lot, the zone, but there is a technique where if the unconscious mind overrides the conscious mind, we can get in the zone so we perform at our best. There is techniques for that, which is fantastic. But like you say, it has to be used in the right hands. Unfortunately, NLP has got a bit of a bad name for people using it, shall we say, incorrectly. Hence why I have insurances and things like that, because I want to use it for the good, the good of people, not just sport, but, the good of people, to help people achieve their goals. And, you know, if used right, like you say, it's a fantastic tool because you can get the best out of people. And there's nothing better, especially in boxing, there's nothing better when they've said, you know, I've come from a career-ending, shall we say, injury to win a title. There's just no better feeling being there. Just to know you, even if you're just that little part there. I mean, they do say sport is 90% mental. I disagree slightly there. I mean, we've got to obviously sell our package, but it is a good 70 to 80%. And that's why I love the job, because as a goalkeeper when I was younger, if I had these skills, I wouldn't have, I'm not saying I'd go pro, not at all. I had injuries, but I would have done a lot better in the amateur game. And I didn't, so that's life, and I'm now passing my knowledge on.
The NLP is, I mean, I used it for my own career as well for boxing, and one of the things I was fascinated about is the mental aspect of getting yourself into the zone. How much can I get out of myself mentally? You know, because my trainer used to say to me, your nerves can do two things to you. They can either make you stronger, faster, fitter, or they can paralyze you, and they can, you know, do quite the opposite, slow you down, and you know, you're slower, and it's absolutely amazing. What are your thoughts about that?
I'm glad you actually said that, because being at the Haringey Cup, and I apologise about going on the Haringey Cup, but as soon as I was there at the weekend, you start analysing it from an NLP point of view.
Yes.
And especially when you don't know them, it's easier because you're just looking at two strangers, you know, fighting it out. And you saw some of the people being really fantastic. You think they are going far. They're just free-flowing, they're confident. And you could see some of them getting in the ring, and as they're getting in the ring, they're standing tall. And every step, they're kind of cringing, so close to getting in the ring. And you think, he's falling, you know, he or she's falling apart before they've even thrown a punch. Exactly. And you're right, you know, the nerves, I mean, it slows you down. And the funny thing is with nerves is if we think of something nervous, our heart beats quicker, the adrenaline rushes, you know, our hands maybe shake. But if we're also excited about something, I mean, really excited, you know, for example, I know a new film comes out or something even bigger, you know, our heart, it's the same things. It's the same physical. Our heart beats quicker. We've got the shakes, the adrenaline's rushing. So it's about using it in the right way rather than saying, no, we can't have nerves. It's just how we label it. You know, because if we label nerves, and if you turn around and say, I'm excited, all of a sudden the nerves actually go away because you've labelled it a different name.
Okay, I'm going to throw something at you, and I'm going to try and be a little controversial, as I do tend to be in my interviews.
That's good. I like controversial.
Okay, let's not make it too controversial for you then. We want you to keep the clients. Okay, world class. There are fighters. There was one in particular I think you were sitting next to the other day on London, on the Haringey Cup, and I saw Harold Graham in a photograph
that's
sitting next to you, right? And it's quite funny because I was going to try and get an interview with Harold Graham. Things happen, and actually in Haringey, that's my home, you know, in terms of London. I'm a North London lad. Tottenham, yeah. So home of obviously Mark Prince as well, former light heavyweight champion at one point. But anyway, my point is Harold Graham was very good until he met the very best in the world. And there are stories along the lines of fighters who were very good, but when they hit the next level, they seem to come up short. Is that a nerves thing? Because I'm wondering to myself, mentally, they seem to fall apart when they're on the biggest stage, which means they'll make mistakes they wouldn't normally make at European level because they know they've got the fight, they're sorted. But it seems when they get to world level, there's that split second difference where they make that mistake they wouldn't normally make at European level, and it could be them getting knocked out. Or
it's a very interesting point, that, to be honest with you, and I'm smiling away because it can be and it can't be, because I'll tell you what, it's not a real answer there, but the reason I'm saying that is you get some British champions that, using the mentality right, they're just a British champion, but because they've outpassed their greatness, they end up becoming a European champion.
Right.
And what happens is the outside world, you know, that are watching, you know, via Twitter, you know, they're watching on Sky. Because that guy's outpassed his greatness, he's now fighting at world level. They'll go, oh, you're not world level. And I feel sorry for boxers, really, because what happens is you win a British title, you become great in the eyes of the world, of all the fans. You step up, and then they say, oh, you're not good enough to step up a level. You're fighting bums. It's, well, if I'm fighting bums, I'll step up a level. They then step up a level because the fans have said they're fighting bums. then they get knocked out by a greater level. It's like, well, you're not good enough. You know, come on, give the guys a chance. You know, I feel sorry for boxers so much because that's what I just read it on Twitter all the time and love it. It's you're either fighting bums or you're not good enough. So I do feel for them.
Well, the media are very good like that. Very, very good at just stitching people up. They're really very good at stitching people up. There's so many occasions where they, 1 minute they say this guy is world class, gets smashed to bits, and then says, he's not really that level, is he? He's a bit of a domestic. That term, domestic fighter.
Yeah.
I don't like that term, domestic. Animals are domestic, but fighters, domestic level.
Yeah, I must admit, because I've grown up on that name, I suppose I've just taken it for granted. I've just agreed, yeah, domestic fighter. It's
You're domestic. You're like, you're local. You don't deserve to be anything better than you're just domestic. Sit in a corner. Don't come out of that corner. Mentally, that must play on a fighter's mind.
It can do. I mean, I don't know what boxers are using mental skills coaches and what aren't. I mean, some have come out and said, yeah, we're using a mental skills coach, which is fantastic. Like David Price turned around and said he's using a psychologist. Fantastic.
Fantastic. Great to hear.
And it is great to hear because it's nice when they say, hey, I'm using so-and-so. Yeah. And as you see on Twitter, you see a lot of fighters saying, I've joined Stuart, I've done this, and I'm with Stuart, thank you. And it's not just saying, hey, look at Stuart, not at all, because it's all about the fighter for me. Absolutely. It's all about the athlete. If I'm in the back page of the paper, I've done something wrong. But if my client's on the news, fantastic. And the only reason they say that I use Stuart is because of the fact they're saying, hey, it's okay to use a mental skills coach. Yeah. Because when I only started 2.5 years ago, and I realised that the stigma of, if I use a psychologist, I am mentally weak, which is not true. It's like saying to a boxer like, I'm trying to think of a boxer now, but, they all say we're using nutrition. We're using nutritionists. That doesn't mean they're fat. It means they're getting the science. They're getting the science right, or the art right of that calibre, of that sector. So you need your strength and conditioning, you need your nutrition, you need your mental skills, whether it's NLP or psychology. Yep. I'm not going to say use NLP and not psychology because they both work. Yep. I know a lot of sports psychologists, and I'm not going to start saying use NLP. Sports psychology is fine as well because it works.
Let me throw something at you here. Floyd Mayweather says, hard work, dedication. Hard work, dedication. Mm-hmm. That's a mantra. That's a sort of hypnosis, sort of like, because you're saying the same thing over and over. They say if you say a lie enough times, you believe it into becoming the truth. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a very good point. Very good point. I mean, it's almost classed as self-hypnosis, I suppose, where you're telling yourself something brilliant. I am great, and if you breathe out, I'll give you a quick free tip actually. If you breathe out in your head and you say I am great and you breathe out, it bypasses the conscious mind. Yes. So if you tell yourself 10 times I am a champion or I am great, keep it simple. So I am great, and then breathe out I am great, breathe out I am great. And say it in your head if you don't want to sound stupid, all of a sudden you start feeling great because you've bypassed the conscious mind. So, he would start believing that. I mean, what I would say, does he mentally rehearse a fight? I hope he does. I don't know the facts, so I can't say he doesn't. Yeah. But isn't it? Yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't say he's the best ever. I mean, he's fantastic and the best at the moment. Yeah. Is he the best ever? I would say Muhammad Ali. I'd say Muhammad Ali. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but okay, good. I mean, a lot of people would agree with you there. Here's another man, Tyson Fury, a man who makes a lot of noise and makes a lot of publicity. I recently did an interview with him, and he says, "Look, it's about, listen, I'm a fighting man, and when it comes down to it, get some balls, get in there, throw your punches." And I believe in myself, and I'm going to smash Klitschko. In his mindset, he believes he's going to smash Klitschko. He hasn't got time to worry about. He makes it very simple for himself. What are your thoughts on something like that?
I love that man, to be honest with you. He makes me laugh so much, and his interviews. I mean, if he doesn't make it as a world champion, going to comedy is fantastic. I love the bloke, but I like his mentality because what he does. I don't think he means to upset people, but as you can see on Twitter, he does. But as he says, if you don't like me, that's tough. I know I'm good enough. Yeah. And you need that mentality because if you don't believe in yourself, how does he expect to win if he doesn't believe in himself? And you can tell he does. And he's proven it. He hasn't lost, so he's doing something right.
So, okay, Now, it's something I've also studied, something called affirmation and affirmation. Now, I'm not a big... I can't tell you I'm sold on the whole thing about the secret and affirmation, which is if I sit in a room and I tell myself, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich, I'll believe it, because I go to my bank account and my bank account says, mate, you're a bit of a liar there, mate. You're a bit of a liar. And then you have to pay your bills and you say, I am rich. Okay, you've got to pay your bills now. However, that's affirmation. But I've noticed affirmation is far more powerful, because I ask myself a question. For example, I'll look and say, why have I not got money to pay the bills? So then the brain starts looking for answers and solutions as to why that's the case. So how does that fit in as well with the whole NLP thing for you?
When you said The Secret, do you mean the book, The Secret?
Yes.
I'm glad you said that. I read The Secret.
Yes.
And fair play to the author, but very, very basic. It's a good idea, because if you start saying, I am rich, all it does is open opportunity.
Right.
But this is where it gets interesting. You always hear about the mind. You've got to do it by the mind, but mind and body is one. So if you're just positive, that's all you're going to get is positive thoughts.
Right.
But you need to actually put it to good use. You need to take action. And basically, there's a thing in NLP called values, beliefs and values, where values, basically 75% of our motivation is linked to our top 5 values.
Right.
So what happens is, if we've got an away from value, for example, I don't want to be, because you might want money, but your actual value might be, I don't want to be poor, I don't want to be skint. And what that's in, you're focusing, because the unconscious mind cannot process the word don't, you're kind of saying, I want to be skint, I want to be poor. And the problem is you're moving away from it. So what happens is your motivation was moving away from being poor. Right. So you move away from being poor, so you've got a bit of money. And what happens is the motivation goes, because you're so far away from being poor, you start getting poor again. Right. So you're like a yo-yo, if that makes sense.
Right.
So you find you have £100 in your bank, and then you go down again to, say, minus 300, if you've got an overdraft, that is. And then you start, so what you need to do is change your mindset of not what I don't want, what I do want.
Right.
And not just I want money, set a goal. For example, if you want £1 million, that's fantastic. Set that goal, but let's be realistic, smart goals, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timed goals. Right. Because when are you going to get that £1 million by?
Right.
So if I said to you, I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow, that is very unrealistic. I won't be a millionaire tomorrow. I'd have to be a psychic to make that kind of money, or something amazing is going to happen if I know it's going to happen tomorrow. So even if you set it in 10 years' time, that's £100,000 a year. Then how do I make that happen? Work out what it is a day. So it's basically little mini steps. Set a goal and do mini steps to get that goal. Every day. So every day I'm going to earn, for example, I'm making this figure up, but say you want to earn £500 a day. Right, how do I get that £500 a day? And make sure it's ethical as well, because what I do with all my clients is if they say, I want to earn £500 a day, I've got to make sure that they're not going to do anything to do that. For example, like rob someone, because that's where NLP has to be in the right hands.
Right.
Because if someone said to me, I want to earn £500 a day,
right,
I'd say, right, okay, how do you want to earn that? If they're a drug dealer, for example, I wouldn't work with them, because I know I don't believe in, I believe in the good of the world.
Absolutely.
So you have to be careful how that person's earning that money, or wanting to earn that money.
Another thing, NLP, and I like to use, I'm going to use boxing situations here, because
of course
they're the best, especially for boxing fans. They're going to want to say, okay, how does this relate to boxing situations? Situation number 1, and it's a classic one, Steve Collins and Chris Eubanks Sr. I don't know if you ever heard the story, how it all worked out.
Collins won, and he was... I was a child, so I hear the story from my dad, however true this is, because you know what, parents are like, they like to add their part to it.
Yeah.
And basically, Steve Collins was the first person to sort of wear headphones before a fight, and people thought he was mad, basically. And what is he doing? And kind of, I know like Chris Eubank used to play good mind game, and I think he still does, to be fair, with his son. So, he's very good at it, and I think Steve Collins was just better.
From what I understand, is because Eubank had that situation with Michael Watson, sadly.
Yes.
That played on Eubank's mind. He was just doing just the best he could to get through fights. Had the big fight with Collins in Ireland, and Collins came in, basically said to him, I'm under a trance. I'm going to be under a trance, and I'll be able to walk through the best Eubanks punches he gives me. I'm going to be able to. I'm in a trance. I'll walk through all his punches, and you know what? He won't be able to stop me that night. Given Collins already had a great chin and a great engine and a tremendous work rate, he was going to do that anyway, regardless. But he went and said that to Eubank, and he revealed afterwards in the fight, I had a set of headphones on, listening to Bono and U2. So, tell me, how NLP, can you get a person into such a state that they can ignore the punches coming at them and avoid or stop being knocked out and avoid getting hurt to achieve their dream? Can you do that? Is that possible?
Yes. I mean, you can't, when you say stop being knocked out, I mean, if you get hit, like if say I met Tyson Fury and he hit me his hardest, there's no way in hell I'm getting up from that, no matter how much NLP I use. If I stand there and take a punch off Tyson Fury, I'm out for the count.
Right.
But what we can do is mentally rehearse a fighter to be prepared for every situation. So what happens is the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality, a thought, a daydream, and a real dream.
Right.
So what happens is, if I'm imagining I'm fighting someone, I do apologise, I'm moving my head as I do it, but basically, I'm imagining now I'm in the ring, and what I'll do is I'll put it in front of the TV and, as if I'm watching it from an outside point of view, because what boxers do, they do shadow boxing for technique. Yeah. We do the same for the mind. Then what we do is we put ourselves in the ring, so we're prepared for every situation. There's two reasons we do this. One, because when we stand in the ring for real life, our unconscious mind will say, hey, I've got this covered. I know exactly what I'm doing for every situation. So we're calm and collected, which increases reaction time. Secondly, it improves technique 1% less than training itself. So, and like if you didn't turn up training half the training camp, you're going to lose a lot. So what I would say is mentally condition, because it's almost just mental rehearsal alone. This is before the zone, before confidence. Mental rehearsal alone is 1% less than training itself. Mm-hmm. So what that means is you're at a massive disadvantage if you don't use this.
Right.
So it's like if you didn't train half the time, you would lose out massively. And that's the only way I can explain that, because what happens is if you don't mentally rehearse, you've got that uncertainty, and uncertainty increases reaction time. So you want to be prepared for every situation. You hear many boxers saying, and you hear it at a press conference all the time, I'm mentally prepared and I'm physically prepared. And I went to a Steve Goodwin show and I thought, I'll ask the question, what have you done for mental preparation? And the boxer just looked at me and went, well, what I've done is I've let my coach sort that out. And it was like, pass the buck. And I was like, okay, so what has the coach done? And he was like, well, we train hard. I was like, yeah, but what mentally have you done? And from even grassroots level to the top, still a lot of people are... So I'm just waiting to my stepdaddy's going to bed. Do apologise. So basically, what happens is, it's just... I'd say uneducation. It's still... Mindset in sport is still very unknown.
Absolutely. You make putting that is so true. I mean, apart from boxing, cricket is a sport I coach a lot. And one of the things I try and educate the youngsters I have coached is, when you step over that line, everything else you forget about. You forget about, the stuff you do at school, the issues you've got outside the cricket field. When you get on that field, once you cross that line, you are fighting as a team.
Yeah.
Everything you put on the line for that point. So it's getting those guys mentally prepared for it. And I actually rehearsed them walking over the line and walking back.
Good. That's a good.
And walking back. So even when I remember training and boxing, I remember closing my eyes and like when I throw a jab, I'd hit my chin when I throw a jab. I'd do that, bang, because it made me visualize not only me throwing a jab, it visualized me getting hit back. So my mind was mentally prepared for if I was getting hit back, what to do. So if I was getting hit 2-3 times, I'd try and move my head. It prepared me for, because just shadow box alone for me and just moving around, that's fine. But nobody's hitting you.
No, that's very true.
Exactly.
That's very true. Because, as I was saying, what you're doing is visualising is a great tool. Don't get me wrong. Yes. You need to hear it. You need to. When I say feel it, I don't mean punch yourself. I'm talking in here, feel it, because what you need to do is know if it feels right. And you hitting yourself is perfect, because what it's doing is preparing yourself.
Yes.
And and that's what people don't realise is, because if you get hit and you're shocked, especially in boxing, the difference between, and I apologise for using this word, the domestic fighters and the work, and I apologise, and world class, is the fact that if you see a boxer wobble, that's when you find out a world class boxer, because he's prepared. And I'm not saying he's not hurt, of course he is, but or she, but what they do is they're prepared and they start doing the right things rather than panicking and throwing back. They cover up well, they move around, and they clear their head as quick as possible. And people, it's a big saying, and I disagree completely when they say you can't teach heart and you can't teach how to take a punch. You can't, once you're knocked out, you're knocked out. Obviously, you can't change that. But what you can change is when you're stunned, you can change that. You can, because you're prepared. And that's what people don't realise. And you always see a fight after 4 or 5 rounds go a certain way, and they go, oh, they've got the momentum. There's no such thing as momentum, because you can turn that around in one punch.
Of course
but
you can.
You lose 4 or 5 rounds, and you see the boxer getting a bit frustrated, and it's a shame. It is a shame, but the word will get out there one day.
It's cliche though. It's cliche, and those that are in the know and watch what's going on, and then you're a professional, so you'll listen to these people talking about mental preparation, and you're like, let me find out what this mental preparation is all right. And you listen to them, you go, nah, mate, you ain't prepared. You definitely are not.
I would never. One thing I don't do is slag someone off. But I know what you mean.
But in your mind, you know it.
But yeah, you hear it and you think, oh, that's interesting. And when I first started, I thought, oh, fantastic. Someone that's using a mental skills coach or a psychologist. So you look into it and you're like, nope, they haven't used anything. So a lot of people say it. And, the thing is, the secrets will be, if you know someone that's mentally preparing, they'll turn around and say, I've trained mentally, or I know how to get in the zone, or they'll say something like, I've been mentally rehearsing. Because anyone can say I'm mentally prepared. Stuart, you're going skiing tomorrow. You've never skied before. Yep, I'm mentally prepared. I can just say that. But the secrets are that if someone's mentally prepared because they'll give away clues. Like when Cole Frotch, for example, I don't know if you heard, he knocked out George Groves, at Wembley in front of 80,000 people.
I didn't know that, actually. I really didn't. I mean, I heard it today. I was told that today. I did a previous interview. Did he, really? Actually, when you talk about Carl Frotch, I was about to mention him. If you read my mind, I'm actually about to talk about him in a minute, but you say what you're going to say, and I'll talk about Frotch in a minute.
Okay, well, when he was, and we're talking the physical side, basically he was interviewed Floyd Mayweather, and he was saying how he trained and what he done. Well, that's what you can do if you're training on your mind. You can tell people, I've been doing this, and no one seems to do that. So, A, is it a secret? I don't think it is. B, have they not really mentally prepared? And I think that's the one.
Okay, Frotch, this is something maybe you could answer, and maybe only an NLP person could answer. I noticed, I saw him at the press conference just before he was going to meet Groves for the second time, and he was pretty confident and stuff. And I knew he'd seen sports psychology was something that was talked about all the time. But I wanted to get up close and personal and see Frotch at the weigh-in. Now I met Lee Frotch, which was his brother, and and I met Carl. So when Carl was walking past me, the first thing I said, let me look into this guy's eyes. I looked into his eyes, and his eyes were glazed. Absolutely glazed. Gone. Like, he was somewhere else. He was definitely somewhere else. He was not, although he was talking to people, like, even when he was talking to the guy at Sky, his eyes were glazed. It was like, the only thing he cared about, it seemed to me, all he seemed to care about was George Groves. That was it. There was nothing else there. He was vacant otherwise. Can you talk to me about that and see whether that's something that it's my own personal opinion, or that's possible as a in NLP and in that sort of coaching?
I'd say it's possible, because if you're in the zone, it looks like you're like I've done it myself, where I've taught boxers where to get in the zone, and what happens is it looks like we're staring people out, but we're not. We're just in a different state. We're in an altered state as such, i.e. a trance.
Yes.
And if you notice the second fight, when he went to his corner before the fight started, he didn't even acknowledge George Groves. He turned around and faced Rob McCracken.
Yeah.
Took his t-shirt off as if George Groves wasn't even there. Just looked at McCracken, done his piece, then turned around for the fight. And what it was, and I say this to my clients, it's almost that the opposition doesn't exist.
Yes.
It's all about us within. Because it doesn't matter if your opponent is on his best, his worst. We don't know how he's going to or she's going to turn up.
Yes.
We don't know that. It's as simple as that. But what we do know is if we're at our own best, we are going to be at our very best. And we know that is a dangerous thing to be, especially in boxing.
Yes.
So we know we're going to be strong, we're going to be quick, we're going to be healthy, we're going to be full of endurance and stamina.
Yeah.
And that's a hard boxer to beat. So we're not even worried about our opponent. I literally, if I say, for example, work with, say, a boxer over a 6-week camp, we probably mention very quickly the opponent about twice over a 6-week camp. If that. It's very, exactly. And it's usually just to mention his name.
The opponent doesn't matter.
No.
You know, the only time you mention the opponent normally is when you're doing the press, we deal with the press. Because the press like to talk about the opponent sometimes more than you.
It's... I'll add on to that. I work with Troy Williamson, Team GB boxer at 75 kilos, the ABA national champion.
Yeah.
And it came to the final, to the fact that I say he didn't know. I mean, we were so focused that he didn't even know the name of the opponent until he got to the ring, basically. Wow. Just because we were focusing. And the only reason that I knew who was fighting is because I looked on a result that so-and-so won, and it wasn't even... It just bypassed my mind because we were so focused on what we were doing. And here he is, national champion, and then Tri-Nation, British champion as well, the same weekend as Charlene Jones.
Exactly. I just recently did an interview with Charlene Jones as well.
You did, yeah.
And that's another person's got the focus and the drive, and just talking to her, you can hear that she's in the zone. She's there. She says, I'm going to work, I'm going to train, I'm going to work, I'm going to train, and I keep doing until I get the best I can be, so I'm ready for Rio in 2016.
Yeah, and do you know what? I really hope she makes it. I mean, I know nice people, it doesn't make a great boxer, but just on her personality, I really hope she makes it 110%. I talk to her on social media quite a lot. I think the world of her. I think she's brilliant and a brilliant boxer. Yeah. And I really wish her all the best in the world. I really hope she makes it.
I think she will make it simply because of this the mindset that she's got. She's got such a strong mindset, and that she's saying to herself, you know what? I'm going to get there. I'm going to keep working and working and working and working.
Yeah, and also she talks about her other work as if it gets in the way, and that's fantastic. She's like, I'll go and work for a few hours, and I don't want to be there, but we get that sorted. And I'm in a similar position. I'll work part time, and I think, I know where you're going with that. Because we go to work, we don't want to, and then we can do what we want to do. And and you can see the drive, the determination, the hard work she puts in, just by the way she talks. And you're thinking, that is. She's a role model. If you want to box, follow Charlene Jones. She is a role model where, she's going to make it. You copy her, you'll go far.
Absolutely. Stuart, just before we close, is there anything you want to tell people or how they can contact you?
Yeah, my webpage is www.stuarthow. That's STUARTHOW.co.uk. Okay. And I am on Twitter at Stuart Howe. So STUARTHOW. As you've probably seen, I use the hashtag inspired a lot. That's just my hashtag to get my name out there. So you'll probably see that on TV quite a bit. You see it on boxers wearing it. It was on Spike TV when Ross Birkinshaw fought for the WBO Intercontinental title. It was on his ring jacket. You'll be seeing it on TV on I was going to say it's a secret, but it's not. You're going to be seeing a hashtag saying inspired Nan, because on Kev Hooper's shorts, hopefully we're doing a deal because he's my client and he's fighting for the English title against Adam Dingsdale. I don't know when the date is yet. Excellent. And basically the reason I've added the Nan on is because my Nan passed away. She was a big fan of Kev Hooper. Wow. And basically when I just first started, so Kev gave me my first opportunity at pro boxing, and I thought I want to start small, and I got a hold of Kev and he said, right, I've got an English title fight against Gary Sykes. So much for starting small. So and my nan lent me money for a car so I could start off. So basically we've agreed that we're going to have, it's usually inspired, he has inspired on some of his shirts, but it will be inspired Nan. So follow Kev Hooper as well. Great boxer, and he'll become British champion minimum. I've been saying it for 2 years, but British champion minimum. Mark my words.
Stuart Howe, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, and all the very best with all that you're doing. I'm inspired. You're inspired. Let's all be inspired.
Yeah, and just one last thing before I go. I do apologise. I just want to say I'm also aiming for Rio Olympics. So watch this space.
Fantastic. Great stuff, Stuart.
Thank you very much.
I hope the viewers and the people that listen in and have watched in and the boxers themselves that get to watch this stuff understand the importance of NLP, and it's nothing to be sniffed about, and it's not a sign of weakness, but it's a sign of actual strength and acknowledgement.
Yeah, like definitely.
Do you know what I mean? That they should.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
man.
it's strong mind. Strong mind is a strong body.
Absolutely. Stuart, thank you once again. Thank you so much for talking to Bayloric TV.